Okay. Good morning. It is March 9th. Time for another vlog. Um, Decorating a little bit, but I think I gotta take those down after this. Okay, so I finally figured out my situation. I got myself a tripod. It's $20. I'm not gonna link it because it was $22. But so far, March has been good to me. I've written 12,000 words in 8 days, not counting today, with an average of about 15,000 words. So things are tracking, things are moving, and more importantly, the the Kickstarter funded, meaning that now I'm going through the process of doing the edits for book one. I've contracted out 4 of the cards for artwork. I think the hardest part is I'm like, somebody's read the book. Pick a card for me. They're like, oh, you pick. I'm just like, great. I'm just gonna pick 10 cards. Because I'll probably do another 10 cards for the next book. And then if backers want the deluxe package, they can get 20. Because they can get a card box if it's 40 of these foil cards I'm looking at. So yeah, so that's a thing. I could have just launched it onto Amazon like I usually do and put it on Kindle Unlimited, but instead I was like, I'm just going to try this and see if this works. And people like it. And pretty soon I'm going to drop the second Kickstarter, at least the launch page. Probably drop that in April. Once I have all the edits, once I know how many pages this book is, and once I send them out, because I don't want to do that. So every time I have an update, I'm going to send out a backer update. This is AuthorTube stuff. Like, communication is essential. If you're going to be on like a long hiatus, let your people know, right? And you're like, well, how am I going to let people know? You let them know through your newsletter, through your social media, or post in a serialized chapter of the novel that you're writing. Yeah. So I was looking at a video, and I forgot her name, and I'm not going to remember it. I lost the note in Obsidian. I forgot what I called it. But I synced it to my computer, and the question was, what do you do now? What do you do now, or what would you want to know, had known as a beginning author? And I've been writing for 5 years now, professionally. My first book came out in 2021. What would I want to know? And it goes back to, I think like kind of my philosophy is like, it comes from training for the army, training for things, right? So like the more reps you get in, the more chances you get in, the better, right? So like beginning authors will try to make their stuff perfect, right? They'll be like, oh, I need to go back over this. What you have to do is finish a project, finish a novel, finish a whole book, finish a short story, then go back and look at how you did it, and then do that again, and then do that again, right? So like, I might have only released 2 books, but I have written 13, and most of those 13 are going to start trickling out in the next couple of years, based on my publishing timeline. But like, you're seeing on book 13 and 14, the ones I'm writing now, the stuff that I learned back then, and that was getting a lot of time in learning what to do, and then like internalizing the process. Does that make sense? Yes, that makes sense. Right. So it's not always reps, right? If I'm gonna write, I'm gonna write good, and if I'm gonna write good, I want to learn the execution piece. And the other thing is like ideas. Ideas are great. I have a list of, I call it projectitis. It's probably like 300 project lists long. But then I had to think, like, if it takes me about 2 months to write a book, and I want to retire in like 10, 20 years, like how many books am I going to get through on this list? And of these books, like some of them have serious potential, and some of them like are like, they're just begging me to write them. And like the one I'm writing now, it's really fun. I'm really enjoying it, and that's why it got put to the top of the list. And it's also like I've learned like what I want to write, and I've also learned like I can't write something does not have comedy in it, right? So that's who I am. There's a little bit of comedy in it. It's a critique about, you'll see, but like I put in this firmly in the, this might be lit RPG, but this is also literary fiction, and I'm saying that unironically, and I know people are gonna laugh. They're gonna be like, lit RPG, literary fiction, what? You'll see. Because I just felt like a scene about a man who was reunited with the cat that worked at the cat that lived at his shop after the apocalypse happened, and people are like, "Why am I crying?" And I'm just like, I was crying while writing that. So like, you're going to have emotional damage, and not only that, you are going to be like, "Why do I have emotional damage about this cat going through his adventures?" And it's going to be because I did it to you, and I want you to know it was me. So what else is going on? So Immersive Inc. I'm in the early stages of planning a convention that is virtual, right? So my main problem right now is I can't really move around. Like I'm stuck where I am. If there was a convention here, that'd be fine. But like I'm not going to Dragon Con. Maybe not this year. Also, like Dragon Con is like the week before Labor Day, which is kind of tough when you have little kids. So the organizers, so I'm organizing a convention, or I'm in the planning stages for a fantasy lit RPG convention. It's going to be the week after the week of like June 21st to 23rd. I'm looking to fill some workshops and some panels and maybe have some presenters. I'll present on some stuff there for the specific progression fantasy niche. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be there the whole time, so I'm going to need some volunteers. So I'm lining up to see who wants to actually present stuff, and then like who wants to be on a panel, and then I need someone to interview the panelists. So that'll be good. So this is going to be like when I ran the awards show, the Inkies, for Immersive Inc. I just need a little bit of volunteers, so I'm going to get some volunteers for that. I learned my lesson. So the stabbies went away, right? So I was looking for an award for myself. To like, I was looking for like, what could I put myself in for an award, right? Besides the Hugos or the Nebulas, because I'm not there yet. And I also like, I'm not gonna be able to go to Worldcon for a while. If someone wants to nominate me, great. But that's the thing. So like, we don't really have like a awards thing in progression fantasy and lit RPG. So I took it to the people and I said, all right, what awards or like what category should we do to vote on for a couple weeks? So we picked the awards, we picked the categories, we voted on them. I wanted more participation next year, but I just made it so that you had to be inside of the Discord server to vote for it. So we didn't have people coming in just to join it. You had to be in there for at least 5 days. That was one of the stipulations. And then a lot of friends helped me out, especially Yura. Yura's the best. Thank you, Yura. But like, it's hard enough to get someone to read your stuff, but then just be like, hey, the people in the community voted on this and they said that my stuff is great. One guy won 2 Inkies. I think their gender pronoun is they them. So they won 2 Inkies, and I'm just like, yeah, you deserved it because a lot of people voted on your stuff, and you weren't the only person in that category. Some people just came in with a category like my, and then I, because of nepotism, I didn't put myself in, but I did name one of the awards the Weavy, the best world building. But like I'll run that again in 2025. Nominations are open for a fiction that has to be either published or posting during 2025. And you can find that in Immersive Inc. I haven't started a nominations channel, but I'm sure that we will soon. Now that the first quarter of the year is upon us. I just want to be like, hey, who is actually good here? So I'll have some nominations. And I think that the difference this year was that we had open nominations from anybody except for the moderators. And this year I'm just going to say, okay, anybody can nominate at any time. And we just need you to justify your nomination. The first person that nominates something for a fiction for something, right? And this is just a way for us to recognize authors in the community that have done great work, but have like, for whatever reason, like everyone's like, oh, this is terrible for Royal Road. Like Royal Road, they'll take a lot of stuff, right? Multi POV, that's fine. They'll get used to it. But like shorts, best worst for Royal Road, the Weavy for world building, best male narrator, female narrator, non-binary narrator. Like we have a bunch of stuff that no one put in a nomination for. So I'm going to be interested to see what happens next year, right? We don't have like a single award. We don't have like a best. Well, we do have best one, but like we don't have like a single and only. We had like 32 awards we gave out. I'm not even sure if some of the niche ones got their notice yet, although I did go through like an award process. That's a thing. If you're an artist, or a narrator, or an author who's done something in 2025, and you want to be nominated for that, good on the Immersive Ink Discord. You can find that there's a link in Progression Fantasy, the Reddit r/Progression Fantasy, if you search deep enough. But yeah, so what am I doing? So I'm playing the convention. I'm seeing who wants to be a panelist. I just watched someone's takedown of a different convention, and since this is going to be virtual, like anyone can attend, I'm just going to try to find some volunteers to make sure that the attendees are getting to the panel discussions and the Q&As, and then I have to figure out where the rooms are. Like what we could do is have different rooms in different servers, or just have different rooms on the same server, depending on who's talking. Yeah, and then like somebody might not be comfortable being on camera, so we can do a voice, or in some cases we could just have them do a text thing. And in that case, I would just have like a text interview where two people are interviewing, like the one person's talking to the other person, and then like we have like a, what do we call it? A peanut gallery also on the side. So that's what I'm thinking about, because I'm thinking about authors supporting authors and then bringing each other up. Because that's what we do. So yeah, so look for that in like the third week of June. I will probably do a lot of the back end setup stuff, because that's what I do. That's what I have done in my career, and make sure that it goes smoothly, and then make sure that all the volunteers are good, and then I'll probably do the keynote or the initial panel to kick things off. And I think what's going to happen is we'll do a full day on Friday, and then a half-ish day on Saturday, so I don't take everyone's weekend up, depending on who does it, because I want to do like 3 or 4 panels in the morning, afternoon, and then in the next morning each. And then also like, well, let's do some games. Let's do a one-shot that's like Immersive Ink one-shot just for participants. Like, imagine if your entire D&D group was writers or artists. Like, whoa. But yeah, that sounds like it's what's going to happen. I should do like a percentage meter, like that's like, oh, this is how far I am. So 44,000 words into Bodega Cat, which puts it about 50% done. And then Nascent Soul Child, I still haven't touched that for a while. I am going to write the simplest ending possible, because this entire series is going to get a rewrite. So I have about 6 chapters left. I'm just not sure. I don't want to write another fight scene, but I know he has to kind of do a fight scene. We'll see about that. And then I've identified a gap. So there's going to be about 6 weeks to 10 weeks where I don't post anything. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm going to kind of lose some momentum. And I think that I don't want to lose momentum, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to work on some of my older stuff and see if I can finish that. I will probably pick out Red Mist again. Shocker. I haven't touched that thing in 3 years. I will probably pick that up again and see if I can get a little further in the story. I also started writing this romantasy. Got 300 words into it, and I'm trying to just feel it out. So like a fantasy is like a travelogue, and I'm going to make this kind of like a travelogue. And it's going to remind you of the Throne of Glass series, but only, well, I don't know, we'll see about that. Yeah, I'm going to talk about this idea in a different vlog. But my wife gave me the idea. I can tie it into my other idea here. So that'll be part of that series. And if you're not familiar with romance, like they'll do like a pairing of two people together in one book, and then they'll go to another book. And something that she said to me this weekend really struck me, because she's reading the Zodiac Academy, and I'm just like, there's so much bullying. It's not for me. But everyone keeps telling me to read it. So she's like, it's like a CW film or a CW series. It's YA. And I'm like, okay, now I get what she's talking about. And I was like, I did not like having two POVs, but she's like, the reason they have the POVs that makes it better is that they swap between the two and you go to like the interesting part. And I'm like, yes, and that's why I read third person multi-POV. So now I'm kind of getting what I'm going to do with this story. So I'll have like a male character and a female character, and I'll have swap between like who's doing the most interesting thing right now. Or maybe two female characters and a male character, or I choose. I'll have as many as I need to. Because one's going to be the one doing the work, and one's going to be the one doing the sales for the thing they're doing. That's going to be its own video. Yeah, so I can't not write comedy. And based off the last 3 series, I'd like to have a merchant in there somewhere to... this won't be an isekai. This will just be a fantasy with fae. So, and they'll all be adults. Not like 21 adult, but like the 30s adults, like working professionals that like they have a job and they have bills to pay. Even if like most of their job is getting on a boat and going to a different location and then doing their job there and then getting paid ridiculous amounts to clean up something and then go back to the next thing. Right? And I'm not talking clean up. Do I have time to do this? No. Okay. So the vlog is at 18 minutes already, so I'm going to stop this now. I will talk about this briefly because what I want to do is, if you have this idea, I want you to try it out. But that's it for this week. I'll upload this. Keep writing. Keep talking to other artists, talking to other authors and writers. And let me give you a recommendation this week. What was I reading? Squad-Based Tactics was pretty good. I will link Squad-Based Tactics below. I gave that guy a 5-star review, but I was like, oh, this is good. I just don't have time to do it because I'm doing a lot of reviews right now. So, Squad-Based Tactics on Royal Road. I will probably, this might rise to the level of me doing a YouTube video on it. And I think that Royal Road authors would like that. I have a few that I'm doing reviews on that are not just this, but like, I don't want to do just like a how to improve. I want to just be like, hey, this is good, read it. And I'm at 19 minutes, so I'm going to pause right there.